All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Gerry Watkins, and today we're going to pick up on you don't get what you want, you get who you are. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. For this lesson, I've thought about it and talked about it so much. In fact, it is the heart of what we focus on as coaches is really shifting people's identity. I mean, identity is so important. I like to say to people, if you want to change your situation, change your limiting beliefs. But if you want to change your destiny, change your identity. They're at total different levels. We've all heard about how our beliefs can hold us back, can keep us from moving in the direction or going forward. But the real deal is identity is at a whole new level. You change maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of beliefs when you change your identity, who you thought you were or who you're becoming. And one of the other benefits I find from it, a huge benefit, is what you're working on in your businesses, your church, or whatever you're working on in general. What happens when you line your identity up with what you're pursuing, you no longer have to grind. You can shift from grinding harder to winning by design. It's a whole different level of how we operate. So the purpose of these next two sessions, I'll be sharing information on one. And as yesterday, the purpose of it is to share with you how to become the science of becoming the version of you, the science of becoming the version of you who wins at the highest level. Because if it's true that you don't get what you want, it's level. Because if it's true that you don't get what you want, you get who you are. The real question is, who are you? And who are you becoming? Or who do you need to become? Now, I've got a quick disclaimer. Who do you need to become? Now, I've got a quick disclaimer because I know we're in this age of information, right? I mean, we're in this age of information, right? I mean, I get on social media sometimes, and I get overwhelmed, and this is supposed to be my lane. It's just, and I get overwhelmed, and this is supposed to be my lane. It's just too much advice. You've got business owners that have never given you got people that are giving you advice about business that's never owned a business. You got people that are trying to coach people that's never been coached themselves. And so my disclaimer here is that I'm not saying to you that this self-concept model, I call it, is the best thing ever. I'm not saying that to you. But what I am saying, it's the best thing I've ever come across in terms of changing your identity and improving your life. And I mean that as we get through this, I believe if you're who I believe you are, you're going to see and understand this is cutting edge. This is not something I created. I've been coached in this, and it's somebody else's model, but it's changed and become the center of what I do, because I figure what could be more important than working with someone at the level of changing who they are. And I say changing, but it's really not so much changing as it is helping them evolve in who they were meant to be. Right? Because a lot of us have a lot of false personalities of who that we picked up along the way. So let's start with talking about the identity trap. The identity trap. We all know Dwayne Johnson, right? The Rock. Everybody's heard of him, I believe. Behavior stops being a battle when you shift your identity. And I want to share with you about Dwayne and his story of how he shifted his identity, because he hasn't always been the Rock. In fact, let me share with you. I want you to picture 23 years old Dwayne Johnson in a tiny Calvary apartment, staring at a wallet with $7 in it. No job, no team, no plan. Yesterday, he's going to the NFL. Today, he's a nobody. That's how it worked out for him. And the moment that the moment that breaks him isn't losing football, it's losing who he thought he was. Is what broke him. See, you've all been there. We've all been there, where when we pictured who we thought we were, and those pictures started cracking, we needed to reinvent ourselves. He moves back in with his parents, 6'5", 250 pounds, a former football prospect, sleeping in his childhood bedroom, surrounded by all his old trophies. One night he says to himself, I can't live this way. I don't want to just make it. I want to own who I am. He joins wrestling, which is his family business. Now, the first night out, the crowd hates him. They're chanting, "Die, Rocky, die! Die, Rocky, die!" Nice opening, right? Backstage, he decides, fine. You want The Rock? You got him. He drops all the act. No more pretending. No more people pleasing. The Rock isn't a character. He's authentically on fire. And suddenly, everything aligns when he drops all pretenses. The charisma, the discipline, the work ethic, they've always been there. They just needed a new identity to recognize them. That's what Dwayne's turning point was. When his identity changed, behavior stopped being a battle. It becomes just the reflection of who he's become. That's the Rock story. Now, this concept, this self-concept is it's like I say, it's the most powerful way I've found to shift myself and to shift others. And I believe by the end of the lesson, you're going to find, if you like what was going on yesterday, this is more powerful in the way it works. The Rock didn't add something new. I'm not asking you to add anything new. He revealed what was already built in him. And that's what we're going to be sharing today. How to help you recognize, or how to help you reorganize the proof inside your own mind until you finally see who you've always wanted to be. Because the real change doesn't happen because you try harder. That's what we've been conditioned. It doesn't happen because we try harder. It happens when you reorganize what's already inside. So you finally see who you always were meant to be. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. When your identity changes, your behavior stops being a struggle. You stop grinding. I don't say you stop working, but grinding is different than doing the things you got to do to get to the places you want to get to. You stop chasing results and you express who you've always wanted to be, who you've always become. The Bible says it like this: as a man thinketh, as a woman thinketh, so are they. This isn't meant to crush you when I ask you to consider who you are. I mean, they say that the fruit, you can see it, you can see the fruit to tell what's really going on. And again, that's not meant to crush any of us, because that's true in all of our lives. I like how I've grown, but I'm nowhere near where I plan to be. But this is meant to challenge us all. Who do we need to become? Because if it's true that you don't get what you want, and I believe that and know that to be really true, because if I got what I wanted, I'd be done right now. You get who you are. So who do you need to become? One of my mentors says, the goal isn't to get the goal is to become the person who can simply have the goal. That's what we're doing here. That's what all this personal growth information is all about. Who are you going to become, or who do you need to become? I talked about beliefs, limiting beliefs not being the pinnacle of what we need to work on. What is your biggest limiting belief? What would you say is your biggest limiting belief? Well, I know for me and everybody I meet and everybody I coach, it's their belief about themselves. That's the biggest limiting belief we have. That's identity. See, you can't outperform the image you hold of yourself. There's a book, cybernetics. I have trouble even saying it. It's just a crazy title. Cybernetic. It's been around forever. Yeah, oh gosh. But that statement is right up in the front of the book, and I tell people it's like a gut punch. You'll never outperform the image you hold of yourself. There's nothing more real than that. You'll never even look to go beyond how you see yourself. Rock, he's seen himself, the difference in how he's seen himself with the $7 in his wallet and the 7 million, he had to become a total different person. Yeah. Those were two different images of who he could be. Every goal must pass through who you believe yourself to be. If you want to do something, and I say I like what one of my uncles used to say. See, we talk about what we want to be. We say it, but he told me very early. He said, you can make your mouth say anything you want to say. It don't mean that's what's really in your heart. And sometimes we deceive ourselves. Every goal, everything that you want has to pass through that self-image. Rock's identity as a failed football player was controlling his life. Because as he goes through that, it's like, no, you're not the one. You're not it. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. So who do you need to become to have the life of your dreams is what it boils down to. Who do you need to become? That's going to be my challenge. It's my challenge for me all the time, and that's why I'm all about becoming as often as I can. In fact, you're going to see this process as a way to constantly become more and more each day, each week, every 2 weeks. So what is self-concept? Self-concept is another way of saying self-image. It's a little more scientific because it's not just an image. In fact, self-concept is the internal picture who you believe you are. It's an internal picture, but it's more than that. It's not just thoughts. It's a visible structure that we're going to, and I'm going to show you without getting too much in the weeds, some of the detail of how this works. So this is what it is, but how is it built is a bigger question. How do you, because this was all news for me, it's getting the specifics of how our self-concept, how our self-image is built. So we have values, we have qualities, and I'm going to share with you when you align them, this is how we've coming up with the self-image. Like, for instance, a lot of people work on self-esteem. Even coaches work on, I'm going to make you feel better about yourself. Self-esteem can't be just gotten. It's a byproduct of having a great self-concept. If you feel good about yourself, if you think good about yourself, you naturally feel good about yourself. But people try to go straight to feeling good about themselves. Doesn't work. Just because you feel like you can fly a plane, it wouldn't be a good idea to get in there and do it. That's not enough. So what is it? How do you develop a self-concept? Well, we start with our values. And that's what I like about this. This is not any pie in the sky. We're going right to your core, what God made you to be, what's important to you. He put things on your heart of what was important to you on purpose. So when I say values, what I'm talking about are things like loving, being patient, persistent, being happy, being determined, being creative, curious, authentic, calm, peaceful, joyful. Thousands of values you can choose from. So what are your values? What do you value? What's important to you as a value? All right. How do you measure? And this is the key to values. It's really how we measure. It's our own self-measuring stick of how we measure our own selves and how we're doing. See, if you value love or being loving and you're not, that knocks your self-concept, your image down a notch. If you value being a great speaker, but you judge yourself as not, that knocks you down some more. So you look. So what's really going on? How your self concept is built. You have all of these different things that you desire or want to be, and depending on how you're expressing them or not expressing them, that's what adds up to how you feel about yourself. It's a real clear approach. If your values and your results match in terms of that value, you see yourself at with a higher self-concept, a higher self-image. When they don't, that weakens your self-concept. So this is very specific. It's not something by chance that a person doesn't feel good about themselves, and it's not based upon anybody else's opinion. It's based upon their own opinion of them inside of them, what's important to them. If you want to be a great preacher, you say, I'm okay. Then that lowers you down because being okay isn't good enough for you. Okay? So the next question is so it comes down to how well are you expressing your values? Well, how do you do that? It's all about qualities. It's all about qualities. It's how you fulfill your values. So for instance, because see, a value is more of a concept. You can't just love. You got to be loving. Loving is the quality. Are you being loving? Love is a concept. It's a frozen word, it's not actionable. I value love. Okay, that doesn't do anything for anybody. Doesn't do anything for you, but if you're expressing love, I'm being loving, that's different. Persistence. You say persistence, I value persistence. Okay, that's cool, but what does that mean? How do you express that? Well, I'm being persistent. I value creativity. How are you expressing that? I'm being creative. So that's at the quality level. It may sound the same, but they're quite different. And so what happens is those areas of where you are, if you value love and you're being loving to whatever degree you're being loving or expressing love, then you feel good about yourself or you feel not so good about yourself. And when we think of self-concept or self-image, I always, they say the picture you hold of yourself, you always think of one picture. No, it's not one picture. There's a lot of images. As a wife, you have a concept of yourself. As a business owner, as a mother, you have all these different areas in your life. And so it's how they all add up. They're all raising your concept or lowering your concept, depending on how well you're living into those values. Having faith. You say, well, I'm supposed to be believing God. If you're not doing too well at it, you're not feeling too good about your ability in faith or your spiritual side, and that's knocking against your self-concept, how you look at yourself. So it starts with your values and how do you express your values through your qualities or your abilities in those specific areas. That's what's adding up to your self-concept. So those values that if you're living in those values, you feel your concept is high. If those values are unlived to whatever level they're unlived, your concept is lowered in yourself. So this is how you start changing things. Your self-concept, how many of your values are you sure and certain of? So like some of you guys have, and as a matter of fact, we'll just do this real quick, ask a couple of you. One value that I'm certain of, about myself is I'm a very loyal person. Nobody can convince me that I'm not a loyal person. I know that's me. What's a value that you like and that you are? Maybe have two or three people share. What's a quality, I'll say, that you know you're that quality?
I say the same, loyal.
Okay, loyal. Who else? Faithful. What's another quality for somebody?
Integrity.
Integrity? Okay. So these are qualities have a few different levels. You can be certain and solid. You can be ambiguous. You know, like one of mine that used to be ambiguous is to be, what is it called? Decisive. I said, well, sometimes I'm decisive, sometimes I'm not. That's ambiguous. Some qualities are unwanted. You're like, okay, I'm not organized. But that's a quality you don't really want. Some qualities are actually missing. Some people don't feel like they're loving. They say, I don't know. I don't really fully know what that means, maybe. So those are the stages of qualities. Anything that's not certain in quality and certain and solid, you're taking a hit against your self-concept. It's lowering your opinion of yourself, is what it boils down to. So for instance, example, you want to be a professional speaker. Well, you value being a professional speaker, you might need to value the quality of being entertaining, but you consider yourself boring. You might value the quality of being authentic as a speaker, but you feel like you're too scripted. You might value the quality of clarity, but you consider your communication style confusing. So as a speaker, you rate yourself low, and that's a hit against your self-concept, how you feel about yourself. This is what I mean by you don't get what you want, you get who you are, or at least how you perceive who you are. God says faith without works is dead. You can confess all you want, but if you don't have any proof inside of yourself that you are that, you're not going to get much of a result out of that. And you're gonna feel down on yourself. I know I spoke to you guys the other day about the salon, the experience we went to when we went down to the mall and thought about moving into that space or wanting to move in that space. Well, the opportunity, it was there. It was vacant. We could have did it, but the problem was we could not perform the image we held of ourselves. Mm-hmm. We didn't see ourselves there. And you can't outperform the image, but what I'm talking about and going to give you some ideas on is you can update the image. And that's what's so cutting edge about this. Specific ways to go in and update your own self-image by working on these qualities. Now, speaking of that, there's two paths to transformation, at least two that I know of. There's maybe more, but these are the two that I know of. And they're kind of interesting how they line up with our faith. One is performance-led. The other one is identity-led. When I say performance-led, one of the paths most of us try to take is we take action so that we can develop proof so that we can believe that we are that way. You do it until you become it. And that can work. A lot of people do that. Muhammad Ali did that. Muhammad Ali started saying who he was, but he was working really hard at it. And eventually he became a champion before he got into the ring. But that was through a lot of hard work. Now you're going to work either way, but I believe the biblical way and the best way is to be identity led, which means I believe it first. This is who I am. And therefore that's why the grind leaves, because now I'm not trying to grind to get there. I believe this is who I am. I still got to go in and do the workouts, but I'm doing them from a different place. And because I already believe that's who I am, I already got the proof because I believe it. So you become it, and then you'll do it. You'll do the actions naturally once you step into it. According to your faith, be it unto you. I believe that's why I say that's the biblical way. God calls us to believe it first. He doesn't call us to do it first, but that's what most of us do. We try to work ourselves through it before we actually believe it. And these are two different paths to transformation. What I want to do is I want to show you a little bit about how this process works. The first thing I want to ask one of you, did I go backwards? I think I did. How do you recognize your car or your house? How do you know when you go out here in this parking lot, how do you know it's your car? How do you know it's your house when you go home? Anyone?
You have a mental picture.
Man, I love it. Boom. You do. You have a mental picture. Because we think most people say, oh, I just know it's my car. No, you recognize your car because you got a picture and your mind quickly compares that picture. Oh, yeah, that's my car, the red one. Same thing with your house. It sees, it has a picture of your house. So that's how you know. How do you know the people that you love and the people that you don't like? How do you know? You already got the answer. You got a picture. And you actually file them in different places. God, how does that scripture go where God says we're wonderfully and powerfully made? Wonderfully made. He made the mind so simple and elegant. It just has pictures. They're things line up, and that's why this approach works. Things are structured in your mind in a certain way. Matter of fact, let's play with it for a minute. I want everybody to close their eyes, and I want you to think about someone that you love a lot or that you like a lot. Picture them, and I want you to think about where are they at in your field of vision. Are they right in front of you? Are they to the left or right? How far away are they? Are they in color or are they in black and white? Is the picture small or is it big? Open your eyes. Somebody tell me a little bit about your picture, the questions I just asked. Where was it at? What was it like?
I had my son.
And where was he at?
He was big.
And where was he at in your field of vision? Was he in the center, to the left, to the right, up or down?
He was in the center.
He was in the center. Was he black and white or color?
Black and white.
Black and white. Okay. All right. Now I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to use you again. But everybody close their eyes, and I want you to think of somebody that you don't care much at all for, and and bring that picture up, and notice what's different about that picture than the picture you just brought up previously. Where's it located at? What's it, black and white, color? What's different?
It was on this side.
It was okay. It's over on this side. That's where you put the people you don't like very much. Okay. Yeah. Was it black and white or color?
It was black and white.
Was it big or small?
It was small.
It was small. Yeah. And everybody's different. But that's typical. A lot of times people you don't like, sometimes they're small back into the corner, all the way back in the back, down and low. People you like a lot of times are right here, but it's all different. For everybody, they file differently, depending on how they're made.
Mine was crazy, Jerry.
What was yours?
I saw a person dead.
Oh my God. That's well, we know you used to be a gangster, so that makes sense.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but this is real stuff. Your mind files things certain ways depending on how they are in your life.
Yeah.
And so the point is your mind is filing all this information in certain ways as you start uncovering, and this is what we do with this type of coaching, is we help you start uncovering how are you filing things. Let me ask you this. You said that you are loyal. How do you know you're loyal?
How do I know? I see myself working under people. When I submit to somebody, it doesn't matter how they treat me. I'm going to stay focused on what they have me doing.
Now, the key to what Pastor Eli just said is he sees himself doing this. So how do we know? A lot of people think, well, they say I'm creative. How do you know? I just know. No, you don't just know. Your mind has taken the examples in your life, the experiences, the memories of your life, and it files them just like the people you love, just like your car. It files them in a certain way. And so you have experience, you have examples of you being loyal is how you know. Your mind has proof that you're loyal, and it accesses that. When I say, are you loyal? You say, yeah, because your mind, your unconscious mind says, oh yeah, he's loyal. I know all these times I see, he's got hundreds of times he's been loyal. And so what happens is not only do you have examples and pictures, I mentioned to you guys, there's a structure. Your mind holds all those examples in a certain format that we call your certain and solid template. This, like mine, is kind of interesting. I love mine, actually. It's my mind actually, I didn't know this until I started doing this. My mind actually holds my loyalty in a template. It has hexagons, and people are in all these little hexagons. And it's about right over here. It's about this far, and that's where it holds it. Other things, it might be just one picture at a time over here or somewhere. Bottom line is, what this science does is help you uncover, which is quite simple. It may sound complicated, but it's really quite simple when somebody knows what they're doing, is to uncover your certain and solid template. And so, like, I wanted to be more decisive. So what I did, I discovered how my mind held decisiveness. Well, it was automatically different than my certain and solid quality because I was ambiguous. I took all of those examples and you put them in the same template as your certain and solid quality. You change if they were color, you change all the attributes, you put them in the same structure, everything about it, and your mind all of a sudden thinks you're decisive. Why? Because that's what it's recognized as, just like the people that you love. If you take that picture of the person you like or dislike and put them over where the picture in the same way, you'll like that person better instantly. You may not love them like you love that one person, but you'll actually see your mind will shift towards that person. Like if Dr. Craig would raise this person from the dead, then he'll and put him over there where the person he loves, he'll feel better about that person. Yeah, so maybe try that. And so, just trying to give you a feel for how this works. And the beauty of it is that, there's so much I love it. Was why this has become the center of my coaching, is because, again, it's not this stuff where I'm just making stuff up. No, these are based on your values, what's important to you, what your abilities are. We're lining all this stuff up. But this is what really blew me away. We always say that everything that we need to be successful, we already have. This shows you that's true. Yes. See, I've sat and coached people that say, maybe I had a guy one time, he had the unwanted quality. He was disorganized. He wanted to be strategic. So, okay, we need to change that because that's who he needed to become to run these salons the way he wanted. Well, even just extracting, and so we have to get a template. Let's say that first. We have to get what's your quality that you love? Well, he's very friendly. Well, while we were getting that template, we weren't even doing the real work. You're just trying to get this template because we're going to lose this template for every other quality. Since your mind loves this template, the way it's set structured, we're going to use it to change everything about your life, every quality that you need to change. Well, we were getting that template, and in the middle of it, he started crying. And I said, go ahead, take your time. Well, he was crying because, for one thing, he had forgotten how much being friendly had served him in his life. He had forgotten. And what I'm trying to describe here is just going in, and the Bible talks about this, counting your blessings, just going in and having him to remember, because that's the first step we do. Let's find all the times that you were kind. Just pulling all those memories up, because you forget those things. They get scattered, they get lost, and you get lost. But just pulling all those up and say, go back as far as you can when you were born. Go back as far as you can in your life. Remember when you were kind in kindergarten. Remember little kindness, big kindness. It doesn't matter. Remember as a basketball player. Remember as a salon owner. We should start giving them ways to remember all these things. It just overwhelmed him because he had forgotten. And I learned a few things from that. See, we already have all it. That's one of the big things. Everything that you want to be, you already have. It's just been scattered and moved around, and it's not in any structure that your mind can recognize. So that's what we talk about reorganizing. It's just not there. All that stuff is already there. And what he realized, he had been so busy focused on what he didn't have, what he wasn't good at. He had forgotten this thing that he was great at. That's what brought him to tears. He had forgotten how much it had served him. And I watch clients do this all the time. They'll start gathering him, And you can already see, like, I kind of went through that myself. I was wanted to be more flexible. And I started gathering all the times. You know how flexible we had to be as hairdressers?
Oh, yes.
And so I said, oh gosh. And that just gave me thousands of examples. And my whole mind just, my mind, you can see it change right in front of your eyes. It's like, oh my gosh, I am definitely flexible. So now it's not, so we don't call it, we used to say we install it. We don't install, it's already there. We activate that quality. We put it back together again. And I'm telling you, this is what takes the grind out of it. When I wanted to be more decisive, within 2 weeks, within a week, actually, I was making decisive decisions. Because this isn't something you work at changing. It gets changed then. It's really just a whole different perception. It's not something that you have to qualify to do. You are already decisive. That's what I've been able to help people understand. All these things we need to be, we want to be, we already are. They're just all disorganized and scattered so many ways and so many places. And so this process is this, every couple of weeks we work on a quality. It takes about 2 sessions to go through it and bring it back together. So, and I got so caught up in it, I lost my place. So your mind keeps files for the confidence, the caring you, the capable you. It keeps files. Each quality is either certain, ambiguous, unwanted, or missing. We reorganize the ambiguous, the unwanted, the missing ones into your positive template. Then behavior feels natural, not forced. The client I was describing to you that was crying, he told me one time, he says, Jerry, I feel like you're moving things around in my head. We were moving the memories all into this new form. There was his memories. It was his positive template, but we were putting them in a way that his mind liked it and changing that. We're not adding anything new. We're reorganizing the internal images you hold of yourself. We talked about it yesterday. God said, catch all the things that stand against him and cast them down. We already know these images, God knows these images are in our head. We're just reorganizing them in a way. Because every one of us already has all the things we need to be successful, but they're just scattered, buried, or mislabeled. Yes. The work we do is to put them back in order so your mind recognizes that's the me that I want to be. It just recognizes it. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is a very cutting edge renewal process is all it is. Just changing how your mind is situated. So I want you to think of your mind as an operating system. We were talking about analogies using a computer. You have knowledge, right? Some people go with, you have knowledge and that equals data for a computer. You have skills, that's like the apps, right? Pastor Eli, we have a great app we were talking about. You have these habits. Those are shortcuts, like, central key, this, just ways to do things quickly is what our habits produce for us. But the self-concept is an organizing system. It's the organizing system. All of that other stuff can be great, and you need all those other things. But if the operating system is sluggish or not working well, none of that other stuff is working good. That's why self-concept is the central theme of who we need to be or what we need to work on, is working on our self-concept. Update the system and suddenly everything you already know and can do works better. Update yourself. When your self-concept matches the next level, you soar. That's one of the things, like we talk to people about, you might change positions. Like all of you guys are going to a new level. So what we focus on is who do you need to be at that new level? Because who you are now has gotten you to where you are now. So who do you need to be at the next level is the question. So that's what the focus is. We do a thorough evaluation, and there's a process. We help you find out who do you need to be. What's the level? Okay, I want to have 300 people in the church. Okay, well, what qualities do you need to possess to do that? Who do you need to be? I said I needed to be more decisive. One of the things in networking, I feel like, okay, to grow my business, I need to be more entertaining when I meet people out networking. Added that, and boom, within 2 weeks, I was seeing and connecting with people in ways that I know was a natural. And again, what I love about this isn't something you work on. Once it's changed inside of you, your mind recognizes that as your new identity. And it just starts flowing in that. It's not a grind. Sometimes knowledge is, sometimes like if you want to be a better speaker, yeah, it's going to be some skill and some knowledge you're going to pick up. But you don't even go there until you feel that's who you can be. So we're almost wrapping up because that was my 40 minutes. And the first time I've shared this in this format. So I wanted to, I didn't know the timing for sure. But what I want you to understand is that, let's see, where are we at here? We're going to skip to the next slide. What if the next breakthrough didn't require more effort? What if everything you need is already inside of you? Transformation isn't about adding, it's about aligning. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. You already have all the resources, you had them at birth, of who you needed to be based upon what you needed to do. It's really just activating those qualities. The privilege of a lifetime is become the you who you truly are. That's what we're talking about. The key takeaways, everything you need is already inside. You don't need a new personality. You need a new upgrade of your self-concept. The transformation is instant. The results unfold over time. But you can change in an instant. Because when we have this double-minded, what does the Bible say? A double-minded man, and I think that applies to women as well, is unstable in all their ways. It ain't gonna just be us, right, Dr. Greg? You ain't putting that just on us. So who do you need to become is the question. Because you will never exceed the image you hold of yourself. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. The goal isn't to get the goal. The goal is to become the person who can have the goal. And remember, real change isn't about trying harder. It comes from reorganizing what's already in you. So you finally see the person you've always wanted to be. That's the real goal. Who do you need to become for your next breakthrough? Because you already are that person, just waiting to be reorganized so that you can reorganize who you are, you've always wanted to be. That's what it comes down to. Thank you for your patience in that. I hope that was clear.
Yes.
You guys can give me some feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Excellent.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about, I'll show you a few ways, even outside of the self-concept coaching, that you could start focusing on that. But even right now, just realizing you want to work at an identity level. In fact, there was one scripture, I thought I had it in here, but I definitely want to share in closing with you to understand the power of this. Is God told the Israelites, right, to take the promised land. Everybody but Caleb and Joshua, what did they say? They couldn't do it. They had the God of the universe. I say when God tells you something, that's a commandment, basically. He's commanding them to take it. They had his backing. But you know what? With the God of the universe who created everything, they felt they couldn't do it. Why? Because they had a self-identity problem.
We were grasshoppers.
They were
And their side.
We were grasshoppers. That's what stopped them, is the way they seen themselves, because we say you cannot exceed the image you hold of yourself. You'll never outperform that image. even though God, and I say that to us Christians because even with God on our side, that'll stop us in our tracks, is the image we hold of ourselves. It's, if you want to change your situation, change your beliefs. If you want to change your destiny, change your identity. It'll change a whole bunch of beliefs. So that's what I got for you on this presentation. And we will do some other things at whenever Dr. Craig says so.
Yeah, and so we're gonna take a break for lunch and be back
1 o'clock.
at 1 o'clock. So, and for you that are online, that's 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You'll understand that. 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. See you in a few minutes. Okay, what's that? Go ahead, Latanya.
Okay, so round of applause for Gerry. Wasn't that wonderful?
Thank you.
You don't get what you want, you get who you are. Shifting from grinding harder to winning by design. What a powerful lesson. So as Dr. Craig said, we will be back, return at 1 p.m. We are taking a short recess. So for those of you who need to get lunch, go ahead and grab a bite to eat. But please come back. We have some more powerful messages through a Mastermind with Dr. Craig returning at 1, and with Gerry, and again, Quentin will be returning as well. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And for those of you who want to learn more about Gerry and his company, please visit him at
theleadersedge.online.
theleadersedge.online. theleadersedge.online. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about the Ministry Training Institute, please visit us online at mtiinternational.org. Again, that's mtiinternational.org. We'll see you back here